I'd like to call the regular meeting to order. Can we please all stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kelly, please, a roll call.
Ms. Flynn? Here. Ms. Stewart?
Here.
Ms. Patchen? Here. Mr. McCaskey?
Here.
Mr. Singh?
Here.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Mr. Zoff?
Here.
Ms. Gaston?
Here.
Mr. Waite?
Delayed. Dr. Landau, would you please review the fire exits?
Emergency exits are in the back of the LGI.
Thank you. So first up, we have a workshop, presentation on the summer reading challenge by Assemblyman Friend Scartatos.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, parents, students, members of the board, superintendent.
Yes.
We missed the president.
Yes, he's delayed.
Anthony, how are you?
How you doing, Frank?
Great. Thank you very much for your participation in this year's Summer Reading Challenge. We've had a number of students participating. I'm very grateful to everyone who helped them, especially the parents. This year, we asked the students to read for 50 minutes each day for 40 days in the months of July and August. And we were very successful in getting our children to read. We all know how important reading is these days, in an age of smartphones and Facebook and social media and so on. And especially reading with parents. That's even more important. So what I'd like to do is to call the names of those that completed the challenge. And I would like to present them with a special certificate. And they would stay up here, and I would ask that the superintendent and the president of the board, if he ever shows up, we'll take a picture together. Would that be okay? Sure. Yes. Great. So the first student is Chase Christman. Nicholas Perry. Zania Harris. Angelia Decker. Miguel Herrera. Lily Hinnis. Michael Decker. Skylar Jenkins. Hi, Skylar. How are you? Give me a smile. Come on, give me a smile. Slater Wade. Macy Doyle. Alejandra Herrera. Hello, how are you? Sanya Jenkins. Travis Jenkins. Your family up there. How are you? Great. And finally, Simrat Men. Yeah.
Hold up like this.
Well, first of all, congratulations. Yeah, very good. Good job. Thank you for reading. Excellent. Greetings to the line. What exercise is in the body? Give me a shake. You okay? Yeah, okay. Right hand, left hand. Thank you. Excellent. Very good. Congratulations.
Take two, guys. Very good.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. So, we now have the second workshop presentation by the Beacon Institute for Rivers and Estuaries.
Just briefly to families that came for the reading certificate, congratulations for doing what you did over the summer. I just want to say that. We have a really interesting presentation about a summer program that some of our middle school students do, so you are welcome to stay for that, but it's also okay if you need to get home to get that time going or whatever. I totally understand that too, so you can feel free to stay or go. I'm just giving you that option.
Good evening. Our next group of presenters, it's an honor for me to bring them forth. Last December, Asher Pack from the Beacon Institute, he actually came to our district and he met with both Cecilia Danzarou Rumley and I. And we had a conversation about a summer program, a summer camp for our middle school students. And at that time, he was very excited, you know, to tell us the idea that the Beacon Institute had, you know, for their proposal. And what he asked for is just a teacher who could work with the Beacon Institute to actually get the program off the ground. And so we identified our very own Ms. Jeanette Lynch. And as you'll see tonight, we picked, you know, the right person for the job. The program was phenomenal. We really have some environmental science investigators at Rombout Middle School. I'm sure the parents who actually came out over the summer to see the culminating project, they were excited, you know, as well by what they saw. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Mr. Asher Pack and Ms. Jeanette Lynch.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you to members of the board, superintendent, parents, and students. Thank you all for being here. Anthony, of course, hey. And so I'm going to take you through a little bit of a quick description of our program, and then we'll have time for questions. I hope we'll have time for the students to talk a little bit about their experiences. We're going to show some of their projects, some of the results. But just to set up the issue for you, I'm going to introduce a video that we started with. We showed this to the students on the first day of camp. This is Sember Weinman from Common Ground Farm talking about the farm pond. Oops, sorry.
Morning, my name is Sember and I'm the Education Director at Common Ground Farm. I'm here at the farm pond, which is home to all kinds of creatures. Her parents will catch frogs, look for turtles, home for sort of a whole gap of peace. But we are hoping to have your help because, as you can see, the pond is covered with this green stuff, which is algae. And we would like to know a little bit more why. The pond for Common Ground Farm on the Stony Hill land is sitting near the barn, and behind the barn is a pile of manure, which is where the animal caretakers pile it up from when the animals are in the barn, from the cows and sheep. So we are curious to know if that manure pile is impacting the health of this pond.
Spoiler alert. The answer is yes. And the students did a great job proving that over 5 days in the program. And so the first thing I'll show you is just the manual that we put together for the students. Here's a little introduction of the people involved. Stephanie Kring is a biology professor at Clarkson University. As you may know, Beacon Institute is a part of Clarkson University. And obviously Jeanette Lynch, wonderful and talented. And that's me. We also had support from Michael Bicknell, who's a graduate student at Clarkson. And we also had 3 high school program assistants from Beacon High School. And every one of those people was integral to the program. And so this is just the rough schedule. Monday we did our introduction, icebreakers, and you'll see all this in the video. I won't go too far into it. Then we had the Common Ground Farm Field Day on the second day. Wednesday was data analysis, and Thursday was the students creating their arts and media projects to communicate. Friday they wrapped that up, and then we did a presentation in our gallery for the parents. So I wanted to play for you. This is a slideshow which I'm just going to narrate for you as it goes through. This is the first day we spent at the mural in the pop-up park with the help of the Green Teens from the Cornell Cooperative Extension. The students did a scavenger hunt for different vegetables and learned about sustainable farming. These are some photos from the second day at the Common Ground Farm. Students are at the pond, studying the pond. They're doing a farm walk in the fields.
Harvesting.
They're harvesting, right? And then they're actually spending time in the kitchen with a farm chef who helped show them how to make healthy meals from the vegetables. And you'll see some of the students who are here enjoying themselves. Here's the chef Lisa, who works at Common Ground Farm. And this is an art project, egg tempura, so using natural pigments to create art. This is the students doing some research on the first day, using our 3D watershed modeler in the space there in our storefront. This is Michael Bicknell, the graduate student, getting up close and personal with the pond there. Jeanette, of course, I think maybe the happiest day of her whole week was discovering milfoil in the pond. I've never seen her so excited in my life.
It's an invasive species. I can't order from the catalog anymore, but I know where to get it now.
But it makes amazing slides. And actually, you'll see an example. They took a picture of the slides of the milfoil, so you can see at the cellular level right there, so that's fun. Here we had someone from Spark Media who came and showed the students how to create videos, scientific videos that tell a message and are informative. And here's some pictures of the students doing their presentations on the last day. And that was a really great day. And again, just want to thank everybody. Especially, special shout out to the parents. The second day, the day at Common Ground Farm, we had a prediction for 60% chance of thunderstorms. It looked like through the entire day it wasn't going to work out for us to do, kind of like the cornerstone of the whole project. So we sent a letter home and said, okay, we're going to cancel it. We're going to just be in the gallery again tomorrow. Then I woke up at 5 the next day, and it was totally clear. Of course.
Let's go.
So we just called everybody, and I have to just hand it to all the parents parents. Every single student showed up at the farm. Everybody got the message. And so it just shows how dedicated all these parents are to giving their students these great experiences. And we had a wonderful day that day. So with that, I want to play for you some of the projects. And I have to apologize, I don't have all of the projects that the students put together, but I have 4 of them here.
Just want to
Yeah.
jump in real quick.
Please.
The projects you're about to see, like Asher said, we did the data analysis on Wednesday, and we had Sparks Media come in on Thursday to kind of give the kids, I mean, they know more about the technology than we do half the time, but just to give them some pointers on how to generate their presentations and what options they had. And they just took off running. And within one day had what you're about to see put together. And, you know, I'm getting goosebumps because it was amazing. This is what I want my classroom to look like. You know, this experience exceeded any expectation that I had, and just kind of ignited my passion to kind of do more of an inquiry-based program and get those kids outside doing science. So, you know, Asher and I have been in contact looking to get something up and running this year. I'm going to let him have his wife have her baby the next week, and then I'm going to, you know.
We'll do that first.
Yes,
we'll talk.
We'll talk. But hopefully this can kind of find its way to all the students at Rombell. So.
And before I do the projects, I'll just show you the final report that we did. We also want to thank Brian Quinn from One Nature in Beacon, who helped us take samples and readings with his sonde at different depths. So we did have 25 middle school students from Rombell Middle School there. Here's just a little background, and I'm happy to share with this with the board so people can read it later. Just gives a little bit of background of what occurred. These were the methods that we used, and Stephanie, Dr. Kring, emphasized that a lot of the science that these middle schoolers were doing is graduate level science work that she does with her own graduate students at Clarkson. And I thought that was really incredible, that if we just believe in our students' ability to do these things, they can really blow our minds. I mean, they're natives to technology, and they understand a lot right off the bat. So this was the actual data table that the students collected. There's 6 different teams of students, about 4 students per team, and then we have the averages over there on the side. You know, so the dissolved oxygen is low for that area, and this is all described in the report. The nitrates are high, the phosphorus is high for a healthy pond. So the findings are all described here, and the students all knew that, so that's what they did on Wednesday and Thursday, and then their projects came out of that.
Okay, what's your name? My name's Tyler. How do you plan on making the pond at Colorado Farm more hours for $5?
I would like to put a fountain in the middle of the pond, keep the water moving so no algae is in it, and it can keep the water clean.
That's a great idea, man.
That's all my ideas, sir.
Thank you for the collaboration. Coffee break.
All of these props are from my house.
Wow. Well, while we're on the topic of tubes, did you know that cows produce 952 billion pounds of waste a year? That's a lot of stickers. Next. Hey kid, what's your name?
My name's Leah.
What do you think we can do without manure?
I think we can use it to make soil for the plants to grow.
Cool. Thank you for the idea, Liam.
You're welcome.
So I love that example. Even though it's you know, they get a little bit jokey in there, he follows it up with this amazing statistic about methane right afterwards, right? So you know, this guy's done his homework. Now this one, I don't think we have an audio track with this, but Do we have somebody from the group here?
In the
Who wants
pond,
to
many animals live in a healthy aquatic biome.
Oh, that's right.
We recently did a study on the pond at Common Ground Farms. There was barely any life except for bugs and other small forms of life. From manure and fertilizer, too much nitrate and phosphorus run off in the pond, causing an overgrowth in algae. The pond was covered in algae, and the tests we did uncovered that there was too many nutrients in the pond, causing animals to die off. The dissolved oxygen levels drastically changed, killing fish and other animals. We did other tests and found that many other things in the pond were causing it to go bad, such as ammonia and turbidity.
Those are the macroinvertebrates, right? Little bugs.
There may be a way to fix things. However, if we stop the runoff from waste and fence off the roads so trash can't get into the pond, we might slowly be able to fix it. The pond would be home to more life and then be much healthier for everyone.
And the fish comes back in the end. That's great. So one of the things that we talked about a lot in the camp is something that Beacon Institute does a lot, which is science communication. And we have a gallery at Beacon Institute, an environmental themed gallery. And it's part of our ethos because we believe that people react to art in a way that they don't necessarily react to like a scientific report, right? It hits you in a more visceral way. And that's something that the students were really involved in here too, creating some art, something that might make you laugh and also make you think. And thus it kind of stays with you a little bit more. So that's something that's really key to us. I'm working with a high school group right now, and I'm going to be playing your examples of videos for them, actually, because you guys did such a great job. They have their work cut out for them. They're doing a Fishkill Creek study, and so.
So Common Ground Farm has noticed a decrease in the health of their pond. They've noticed some excess plant growth on the surface of their on their pond, and they're wondering why, if it possibly has anything to do with the manure pile that's near the pond. So they have requested that we come in and do some environmental investigation to find out if that is true and if there are any other causes any ways to improve the health of their ponds.
Hi, my name is Graham Potato, a pile of potatoes located in Beacon Farm. Yes,
Let's talk statistics about the Common Ground Farms pond. All fish need dissolved oxygen to survive and breathe. The pond has 1.40 milligrams per liter of dissolved oxygen, while normal fish need 5 milligrams per liter. You can see the big difference. A solution for this is to use a bubbler or a fountain in your pond or lake. pH, or the level of acid, is caused by urine or decomposition of anything in the water. At the Common Ground Farms pond, we measure 6.6 milliliters, while the normal amount of pH is 6.8 through 8.0 milliliters. A solution is to put calcium in the water to help eliminate pH levels when things get decomposed.
I'm Sam, and my recommendation is a runoff ditch.
Hi, I'm Austin. I would like you guys to use the drainage system more.
My name is Graham Potato, and I hope that they will install a fountain in the Common Ground Pond.
So you can see how the students were working on the cue cards. So you were reading off the cue cards, so you didn't have to hold it in your hand. So there's quite a bit of production that went into these, even in just the day that they had to work on it.
Yeah, this was through me.
That sounds fun, but isn't it supposed to rain? And look at the pond, it's green. It's going to rain. Let's go. We can come back later. Why did the plants get bigger? When it rained, I think the runoff took some manure manure from the pile and brought it into the pond, increasing phosphorus and nitrogen levels, causing the plants to grow rapidly. Let me run some tests to see if my hypothesis is correct. According to my calculations, the phosphorus levels are extremely high.
What will we do to fix it?
How about we move the pile of manure?
And I can use my machine to remove the plants.
Yes, great idea, guys.
Wait, what?
Now can we go swimming?
Yes, the pond is all clean now. Yay, let's go swimming!
Well, so I just, in sum, I couldn't be prouder to be working with this group, and I couldn't be happier with the outcome. I really appreciate everybody's efforts, especially Ms. Lynch, for making this happen in a big way. Working with the school, promoting the program to all the students, and following up with everybody, making sure that everybody got what they needed to get involved with the program. I'm looking forward to offering expanded opportunities next summer. Hopefully we'll be able to get down at Dennings Point and do more than just a single week, and so we'll have a kind of diversity of opportunities going forward. So happy to answer any questions, or maybe if you have...
Just because I don't like to ever leave anyone out, there were other projects as well. Some of them were like hard copies. One was a tri-fold bulletin board that Kira's group put together, which was beautiful. It was informative and very sparkly. And it was a job well done. We also had a PowerPoint presentation put together by Jonah's group, which was very informative as well. And if you'd like, I can share them with the district so that if anyone would like to take a look at them, they're more than welcome to. And I guess I'll hand the floor over to the board, asking some of our students if they have any questions.
I just wanted to mention, I'm sorry, you didn't mention the cost of the camp.
Oh, yeah. So this year we offered the camp for free to Beacon students. So it was our first
With
year.
lunch.
Offering, yeah, we did offer lunch as well. We provided lunch to those who desired it from the wonderful Beacon School lunch program here. Karen was absolutely wonderful in helping us with that. And so it was our first year doing it. We kind of proved out the idea. I think we showed that it's a really viable option for us. And so we will plan to have a cost going forward. We're going to try to offer as many scholarships as we can to Beacon students next year. We'll be applying for grants in order to do that. And we'll also be probably promoting, hopefully we'll have more weeks that we can offer, so we'll promote it to other places too. So. Yeah, so...
Especially if we can get out to Dennings Point.
Right.
I've got a question. So are any changes planned for the pond? In the manure pile and all that?
So the way that we even came up with this idea, we started kind of brainstorming ideas on what we should do. And when I was a little girl, I used to go fishing with my grandfather. And you put the pole in sunnies like one after another. And, there's no way that there's any diversity at this point. So that's where we started generating some ideas. Let's use the pond, let's go to the farm, because I'm not that old. I know I'm getting a little old, but I'm not, So what has happened to this over the years that was once such a viable pond? Now it's, there's just this eutrophication, and it's not going to have any diversity that it once did. So that's where we kind of started with the idea of doing this, and then we did give Common Ground the recommendations that we have as far as them actually creating almost like a moat around it to kind of collect the different runoff from the road, because we also had a lot of salt in the water, so the salinity of the water was quite high, and you have 90 right there, so from the sanding and salting during the year, so we have to there's a couple different issues, but
It is a challenge, but we did pass along to them the project report, and the Stony Kill Foundation, what they had said, as well as the farm, that this is the kind of thing that they need in order to back up a grant application. There are state programs that they can apply to,
Right.
But since they have some real legitimate data now,
Right, so
they
they'll
can
be able to
actually
use what we did.
Right, and so because it would be a big project, as Jeanette was pointing out, it's kind of a big project. They would have to get a whole analysis and a whole survey done, but there are programs that they can use, and hopefully they will use our project report as background material to support that. So,
Yeah. So, thank you.
Another
guys.
question?
Yeah, where did you get the data points for what a healthy pond should be, so you could compare
Oh, sure.
your measurements?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The one across the way.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. So we did measurements of Mueller Pond, I think it's called, which is in the forest across the street, and also just through the biology department, through Dr. Kring's expertise in terms of freshwater ponds and similar environments, and what the healthy range should be to support the kinds of species of fish that they usually have in that pond.
Mm-hmm.
So combination of expertise and just some live samples that we did from a similar
From
a more
location
healthy-
literally across the street.
Across the street was
Wasn't
okay?
near the-
Across the street was okay?
Yeah, it's tucked back in the woods, and so
And
it's
you don't
surrounded.
have
It's
the
not
forest
developed.
Got the beavers and everything, right?
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate all the students that participated in this. I'm very proud of you guys. As an environmental engineer, it actually is tearing me up a little bit. So,
We got him.
congratulations.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I have a couple of things I just want to say. A couple of thank yous. One is thank you to the students. I just got to hear the first and loudest cow moo during a school board meeting I've ever had in my career, and that was cool. The more important thanks is my son went to Common Ground Farm summer camp all summer, and so I every once in a while dropped him off or picked him up, and more than once he asked me, he's 5, he said, "Daddy, why is that pond so green?" And my answer was, "Some ponds are just green." So now I can give him a much better answer, thank you students, and in fact, if I can get access to some of those videos,
Absolutely.
they will do a much better job explaining than I will. So thank you students for doing that. I think this work is a great example. I talk about the 4 C's, creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. Those 4 C's represent, what we should be doing in education, both now and in the future. And so I just want to thank the educators for putting this together. And, let's keep talking about ways to expand next summer. And it's always a challenge on our part to figure out how do we do more of this during the school year too, and not wait for July or August to do some of these things. So that's always my personal challenge in whatever role I am. So I want to thank you all for being the pioneers. Thanks to the kids for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. And if you don't mind, can I show the videos to my son? We're good? All right, thank you. All right, thank you all very much.
A motion for the board to go to executive session.
Motion to adjourn to executive session to review the employment history of particular individuals.
Second. Okay, who said that? Meredith?
Mike. My voice says mine.
Any comments and questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. The board is expected to return around approximately 8:45. So I'd like to call the meeting back in session. We will now review the consent agenda, and we have some changes. Instructional agenda item N is going to be removed, and number 12 is an addendum to the instructional agenda. and it should be reviewed separately. Student, school, do we have any student or school presentations? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Do we have any parent groups? Seeing none, we'll move forward. We now have open to the public. Open to the public. The Board of Education has established a single period for public comment at board meetings not to exceed 60 minutes. All speakers and meeting attendees are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. I've seen language, libellous statements, threats of violence, statements advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice, as well as disruptive conduct, including calling out, will not be tolerated. Speakers may generally comment on any matter relating to district business. The president and/or the superintendent may respond to comments when all speakers have finished. There shall be no further public comment or dialogue regarding the responses provided by the president and/or superintendent. The rules applicable to such public comment are set forth in Board Policy 1230, a copy of which is available in the sign-up book at the front of this room and on the district's website. So no one signed up, so we'll be moving forward. Superintendent's report.
Hi, I'm just going to do a quick, some slides. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to, I have some things to share. I thought it'd be good to have it up on the screen because it is our communication plan for our capital project. There's those board goals again. Those are 2 of the 5, and so I always bring these board goals up every chance I get. One of the goals is communication, to build trust between the district and the community. And another goal is community engagement, to seek the involvement, collaboration, and participation of the entire community. And so that is, I've talked about this a lot. I'm using these board goals in just about everything I do. And so our work with the capital project really now is in this stage of the plan. We are really on the communication part and the community engagement part. So at the last meeting, the board approved the plan, and we're not going to get all into like the details of the capital project itself tonight. I just wanted to share our communication plan regarding it because we have a lot of goals with it. But just briefly, it's an $8.9 million project. The vote for it is on December 5th. It's getting closer and closer. And the project, Anne Marie, will not increase the tax levy, and so it's a kind of a neutral thing for our taxpayers and voters in the district. Focus of the project is on safety and accessibility in all 6 of our buildings. Some renovated classrooms at Rumbout Middle School, air conditioning at the 2nd floor of Rumbout Middle School, and a turf athletic field. So our communication plan for the project, there's a few key things that we are doing. One is to have a section of our website. We'll have that established by the end of next week. The video will not be done by that, but we are going to work with high school students in the digital media department to make a short YouTube video about the project. And so we'll have some key people speaking along with Mike and Anthony from the board to give the board perspective. Our hope in the video is to just kind of do the message like we're doing in a lot of other forums, but make it something that's easy for people to see. We have a capital project mailer that is just about complete. Our goal for that is to send it out to the community, much like the budget mailer that goes out sometime in middle of November. The timing for this is interesting because we have Thanksgiving holiday kind of somewhat close to the vote, so we were thinking that we wanted to get the mailer out before that holiday. And then another really key aspect to this is our community meetings that we either have planned or are planning that focuses on the project. And so this is what we have so far for the community meetings. If they're with the school, it's in collaboration with the school's PTO. We have scheduled Rumbout Middle School for November 1st, Glenham for November 2nd. Not going to read all the details, but Sargent November 9th, South Avenue November 14th. We're still working with the PTOs, at JV Forrestal and Beacon High School, so we will add those as soon as we get those. I think we'll probably get those in a day or two. And then we have one community-wide meeting scheduled at Beacon Rec for November 16th at 7 o'clock. And again, we could change some of these. I don't think they conflict, but I will double check. I wanted to at least put the intent out to the community that we are going to be doing a lot of communicating and a lot of community engagement. Like the board goals sort of set a high bar for us, and we're going to try to meet that. Beacon Rec, I chose Beacon Rec for a community-wide meeting that would be open to anybody. Because when I was doing my community conversations all over the community, I had the highest attendance at that one, not by a lot, but we had over probably about 35, 40 people at that one. And so we're going to attempt that again. And, we don't want to have 30 or 40 meetings, but we are sort of putting out to the community if there's another, community setting or group that wants a presentation about the capital project, to reach out to us, and we will try to accommodate that. The team of people presenting at these, I'll always be there. Anne Marie will always be there. Anthony D'Amato will do his best to be at as many of them as he can, probably all. And John Giametta will be at a few of them to talk specifically about the turf field part. And so again, we hope to add some community-wide meetings to that. Maybe we might want to think about adding one really close to the vote, like right before December 5th. So we'll work on that. But I just wanted to put out there, when I do the superintendent's report, sometimes I just talk into the microphone and I throw out a lot of information, and so I thought I'd put it on the screen for people to have. So once we get the community meetings completely scheduled, we will put those on Facebook, on Twitter, on the district website. We'll make a flyer to have in schools and have it available for community. And I think our goal is to have our community-wide meetings on the budget mailer. So we have that community-wide meeting November 16th. Like I said, we'll probably add one right before December 5th. We'll have those 2 dates on the mailer, so if people get the mailer and they want to ask questions or hear more about it, we're going to make ourselves available to do that. So again, message to the community: if you have ideas about groups or areas we should be targeting with this, please just let me know, and we will see what we can do. But we're excited about getting out there. Just a couple updates on some other things. I had a community conversation just this past week at the Beacon Housing Authority. We had about 15 people there. It was a really great, engaged conversation. A lot of ideas came up, and I always hand out my card at these meetings. I'm getting emails with people, wanting to pursue ideas further, so that's really exciting. I did 5 community conversations in July. I'm not doing 5 in a month again with the school year started, but I'm just going to keep having these. And so obviously we're doing a lot of community meetings with a specific focus around the capital project, but I will also just be doing community conversations at various locations. I've been invited by some community organizations or churches just to kind of come and say hi. So a couple of weeks ago, I was out the Elks Lodge to meet the members and say hi and just kind of answer questions about the district or get to know folks. I was at a week ago, a little over a week ago, I was at Springfield Baptist Church just to say hello again. I have a few more churches scheduled in the future, and some community organizations are reaching out too. All of that is, again, back to those board goals, trying to establish those relationships, trying to make connections with the community and really be seen as someone that, not just seen, but to do it too, as someone who will listen to ideas and try to move them forward. Got an email today from someone who was at the community conversation at Beacon Housing Authority. And at the end of her email, she said, it's all about networking. I couldn't agree more. And so that's what I'm trying to do, either around just big, large district goals or also specific things like the capital project. So we are very excited to be talking about the capital project. It's what's unique about it is hitting all 6 schools, and it really has a negligible, if any, effect on our tax payers. And so we're really excited to be talking about the project. Just also want to thank the board for working so hard putting that together. One other update, in the summer we had some public comment about homework and the request to both research homework, especially at the elementary level, and based on that research, create a more uniform sort of homework policy and practice across the district. I just wanted to update folks that we are, moving forward with that. It came up in the policy committee of the board. They gave us the charge to go ahead and start doing that research. We will have the homework policies of every elementary teacher by the end of next week. Our hope is to then bring that sort of internally and look at it as an administrative team, and then bring it to the policy committee with perhaps some recommendations. We may want to explore more. We may want to talk to some parent focus groups. So we'll kind of devise those next steps, but that is happening, and we are almost done. And so we're excited to be reporting out about that, because what we are finding already is that there are some inconsistencies across the district with that. And so we hope to address that. So again, I won't always be coming over here. I wanted to get some of our information up. We're really excited to do that, and that is the end of my superintendent report. But I guess I can either ask questions here or just wait for board comment. Vice President Gadsden, I will defer to you. What would you like me to do?
I don't know, does anybody have any questions? Are we okay?
We're good? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So next we have committee reports, including board comments. And so we'll start with Mike.
Okay, so I'm happy to hear Matt lay out some of the communication plans that we talked about in the Facilities and Operations Committee. Really have a focus of wanting to get the word out to the community about what the project is about and how it benefits, focuses on health and safety and a lot of other good things for all the schools across the district. So those are some of the things we wanted to do. So look forward to some more of that coming out. I'm looking forward to being in the video. It should be interesting. The only other comment I have is the next Facility and Operations Committee meeting is October 18th at 7 p.m. That's it.
Meredith?
I wanted to say, I don't usually talk about my work, but I just wanted to briefly say that I attended a conference this weekend that I was photographing at the Omega Center in Rhinebeck, and the theme is Women in Power. They do this every 2 years, and it's always a really amazing group of people, and I was surprised that almost every presentation came back to public education this time, and there were some really amazing comments, and I'll be processing it for a while. There's a lot of information, plus I was working, but one speaker, Elizabeth Lesser, said that we should think of teachers and guidance counselors and really anyone who's engaging with students as a sort of first responder. Not to diminish what first responders do, but I think in the wake of things that have happened in our country in the last couple of weeks, it was important to think about that. Like that this is really powerful, and there's impact, and it can be preventative. So she introduces her friends that are teachers as first responders now, much to the confusion of other people, I think, but I thought it was really important to think about it that way. Let's see, the curriculum committee is meeting on the 18th at 2:45, and Chevron is doing their last effort to engage with the community over the Glennon Mills project tomorrow night. Dinner will be served. It starts at 5 o'clock. You don't have to show up at 5, but they're going to have display materials out at 5, dinner at 5:30, and then at 6 there's a planning exercise that they'll go through, and it's going to be at the Glennon Firehouse. And I also got an email today from DIA inviting everyone to their community free day on Saturday at 1 p.m. They're doing this thing called Heavy Metal, which is a teaching artist doing a workshop to ages 10 and up. It's like I don't know, you have to look at the website. I actually am not sure what it is, but it's an experimental performance thing.
That's this weekend at 14th?
That is this coming weekend, yes. And that's all.
Thank you. Anthony?
Thank you. I went to drive a Ford on Saturday, and then I also went to touch a truck, and I got behind the wheel of a school bus.
Yeah,
Poor Mike.
real missed opportunity for you there.
Glad to hear.
So I'd like to thank all the personnel and the PTOs that helped put those two events together. The diversity committee, our next diversity committee had to be rescheduled because folks are going to the conference. And the next good date was actually the 18th of October. So I do apologize to Mike. I'm going to have to cut into your facilities at the end. We'll start at 8:15. I know you had the room till 8:30, but if we can cut in at 8:15, that would help us out.
We'll try to accommodate.
Your request.
And we did, the subset of the group met last week about the community presentation that we had been talking about at the committee level, and I've also mentioned at the board. We came up with a date to present to Matt, which is January 11th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So we're offline. I'll confer with Matt to see if that's a good date, and which location would be good for that, either the auditorium, the LGI, or even the South Avenue Auditorium, so we'll see. The lineup, we thought it would be best to group them. First, we'll talk about statistics, where the Engine Pro Network presenter will do a presentation, also give some examples of PBIS. Then the next category, Know Your Rights, which will we look to invite ACLU, GLSEN, and somebody from Special Ed. And then the Restorative Justice, that's the third category. Talk about ACEs, PBIS, and Restorative Justice there. So that's what we got so far. So it's a draft, and again, it all depends on whether we get the speakers lined up and get the date confirmed. So that's all I have.
So Anthony, when is the technology committee meeting?
I don't know. I'm still waiting for a date.
I'm working on that.
Okay.
Yep. I don't have a date yet, but I have the list of people in the group, and I'll be helping that group run this year, so it's just a matter of me working on some days to have it happen, but soon.
Bill?
Yes, I too attended the fundraiser for We Get to Drive a Ford. I brought my son, my daughter, my son-in-law. I figured too soon to hint for Christmas gifts, so not that I think I'll get it. I also attended the Dutchess County School Board Association meeting. There was a presentation by Dr. Nisa Sensitsink, who is responsible for finances for the Pauling School District. Here's her presentation. It's 39 pages. Once I get I'm supposed to be getting a digital copy. I'll send it out to all the board members. Basically, she was talking about the various types of financial reports that school board members get and how to read those. So it was a good evening. So hopefully within the next couple of days when we get the minutes from the meeting, it will include the presentation so I can hand it out, because I didn't want to have poor Kelly go through Xeroxing 39 pages for everybody. So that's it.
Thanks, Bill. Craig?
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. I look forward to reading all 39 pages because we have a finance committee that's been formed here, and it sounds like that's a good briefing for getting started. I'm not sure when we're going to have meetings of that committee. I would just ask Mr. President if we have some plans for when we're going to convene that committee.
What committee were you talking about?
Finance.
The audit committee?
Financial committee. I'm not sure exactly what we decided to call it.
Audit committee?
Audit and finance, I think.
That's
Audit committee will be very soon because the financial statements are almost ready to be released. They need to have a board, speak to the board. So as soon as that happens, I'll be.
Okay, thank you. So I go forward also. I thought that was a very interesting and novel fundraising event. We should thank Rick Brownell of Freedom Forward for staging it. He had a large crew of people and volunteers out helping, and raised a good sum of money for Beacon High and Roundabout. I'm looking forward to the New York State School Board Association Convention, which is coming up shortly. I expect to learn a lot. And pleased to see that we have community meetings for the capital program. I will see if I can show up at some of them and perhaps be useful. Thank you.
I just went to look on the website because I don't have a note for when the Wellness Committee is next meeting.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I will be there.
4 o'clock. Good to know. Yeah, so Wellness Committee meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And then I just wanted to say it was so great having these presentations tonight. It's really nice having students here, and it would be great to do more of that. But specifically, Dr. Landau, is there a way to make sure that the presentations get put on the website for the like the videos and the PowerPoint presentation, maybe if that's possible, and if there's a plan to have, it's great to have the students here presenting, it's really nice for us, but it would be, I think it would be really impactful to have them to present to other students and talk about what they learned and talk about the experience, or have some way of doing that, because, you know, it's so nice to see people, and I don't know how often it happens that science is shown as something that happens outside the classroom often. It's not building or desk bound, and that there's a lot of field work and it can make a difference, and that it's not limited by age. So it would be great if we could start sharing that story with our other students. Oh, and I just wanted to, sorry. We had a lot of members of the CSEA unit come out and help at Touch a Truck. They were there all day. It was pouring rain and super miserable. There was a lot of parent volunteers and all of that, but these guys, you know, men and women work hard all week, and they came and gave their time and stayed right till the bitter end. And it was so deeply appreciated. So I just want to give them that shout out.
Georgie, thank you.
I just want to thank everyone for their presentations again this evening. It is wonderful to see the students, and I know Mrs. is like very enthusiastic about the program. I happened to see her after its completion over the summer, and she couldn't wait to come to the board to present. Monday, the 16th, there's a policy committee meeting at 7 o'clock.
Sure, I just want to say that I attended the homecoming events this Saturday. It was nice to see the inductees into the Hall of Fame. They did a parade, which was great. They reached out to community like soccer and football and baseball rec departments, and invited them to march. It was good to see. It was a new tradition. They also did a tailgating event, which the CSEA ran. They did the cooking floor, and they ran the tent for it. I was sad that I couldn't stay for the Hall of Fame inductions. I had a prior commitment, but it was nice to participate into what I could participate in. The community was rocking. You could hear, I was over at my son's baseball game, you could hear it, even though Beacon wasn't doing well, the spirit was there, and everybody was there in spirit. So, didn't perform too well in the game, but we're given the effort, which is always a good thing, and the students seemed to enjoy it, and it was a good community builder. So.
I just wanted to announce that the PTO is at the high school is having a fundraiser. It's for Outback at Outback Steakhouse. It's $20. You get a complete meal. They also are going to give you dessert. It is a very I don't know, they said that this fundraiser really brings a lot of money to the school if it is completely utilized. So I'm just challenging everybody out there that if you don't want to take somebody with you to dinner, take yourself and see Kim Lennon or one of the representatives at the high school to take part in this event. And that's it. So, new business, right? I need a motion to open up new business.
So moved.
Second.
So Anthony, right, and then Anthony said. So is there any new?
this was Meredith asked for, so.
All right, so Meredith.
I asked to talk a little bit about development. I wanted to get an update on whether or not the meeting, if you were able to schedule that, or what the.
Yeah, we had a plan to try to do a joint meeting of City Council and the school board and bring an outside speaker in to talk about sort of the impact on development on, you know, taxes and revenue. So we were shooting for October 23rd. Unfortunately, a couple of people that we targeted to come in and do it weren't, either one wasn't available and the other pulled out. So I'm back to the drawing board with Anthony Ruggiero to figure out a new date and possibly a different speaker to do it.
And which will be difficult because the 23rd works because there's 5 Mondays in October. So in terms of it being on a Monday, but it could, I think it could be on another night, right? I mean,
It could be. I know that when we initially started talking about it, we were looking to maybe do it prior to a board meeting. So, and they were willing to start an hour before. So, like if we went for a joint meeting at the city council, had that workshop with the joint with the city council, and then, you know, we might have to start a half hour later and then go right into exec. I'm just trying to figure out, you know, planning wise, so we have the travel time to come over, go into exec, and then start our regular business. So they're willing, they showed willingness. I know 6 o'clock is a hard time for some people to get here, but we're gonna have to show some flexibility because it's gonna really depend on when the speaker can come, when the person can come speak about it.
right, and so I guess just pulling back a tiny bit, to me this does have to do also with our, with our promise to work more closely with the city, and I'm just wondering if there's, I mean, it's sort of falling on you and Matt, but maybe this is a good opportunity for a committee, and because I think there's a lot of places that we already are working with the city, but that maybe more communication could make that, could enhance that even more. So I wanted to see if the board, how the board felt about it.
Well, I feel like this did sort of spark around the idea of development and sort of communicating more, but I think it extends into a bunch of different areas where we overlap, and then really it's still like shared service grants, and I know that I've been looking into that, the Safe Pathways to School. There's a lot of grant opportunities for that, and that's usually combined between school districts and municipalities, especially since we do have a good portion of kids who do walk. I mean, there's ways that we can start sort of cross-pollinating, and that doesn't have to be just around a discussion around development or taxes or anything. I mean, in fact, we had discussed this as part of our board goals, you know, working more closely with the community and the city and representation, and especially because there's it's a campaign year, people are out and about and talking about issues more, and it's, sort of interesting to hear things that are being discussed at a city level that also we are talking about and thinking about. And, another example is like the Beacon Institute is part of the community of Beacon, or One Nature. These are businesses. They're probably part of the Chamber of Commerce. They probably, one's a nonprofit that's here, and Research Institute. But then there's, so there's a great way to partner with a community member there, and we have been. And I think I think it needs to take on a more holistic discussion, and then in that way, it would be helpful to have some formalized liaison process that removes it from just the people whose job is to run these entities day to day. So like to take it off of Matt's plate, to take it off of the administrator's plate, and to put it in more of a committee that we could have formalized between the two governing bodies.
But we're under the assumption that they want it off their plates. Like maybe this is like their way to connect, I think. I don't know. I mean,
I just see some overlap with the PR committee that we had, then we dissolved, and then we have it again. So I think that it could fall underneath that instead of creating a whole new committee because the public relations, that sounds exactly what you were talking about with partnering with the city to, go with the programs that you were stating.
committee that's meeting? The Public Relations Committee?
We meet it.
Right.
Yeah. So it may be possible to coordinate with them there or strategize on what the issues and concerns are. Like, I don't know, this, I'd rather.
I mean, I know one project that the city and the school district kind of supposed to work together on is the emergency management plan for the city of Beacon. I know, I believe Anthony D'Amato went to the meeting on the 9th, last week. You know, that's something that both the school and the city, and as well as all the departments from the city and the county, there's someone from the county there and all that stuff has to coordinate emergency management in the city. God forbid there's a huge snowstorm or flooding or whatever. So, I mean, there are some things that traditionally we're supposed to cooperate with.
That's a very, like, nuts and bolts thing that I think that sounds very appropriate to me, but conversations I'm thinking of are more like, I mean, I do think the development, I've expressed my concern about us having two different understandings about the impact of development on the school district. So I definitely want to see that meeting happen. I think it's really important, and I think the council agrees with that. I'm sure Randy agrees with that. But I'm thinking also more about, like, you know, the city is running our after-school program, and how much communication do we have as a board actually with the council on that, and making goals there, and I do think that there could be grant writing.
Is that
going over our role
not even our role
as a board member as far as
like operating the daily.
I'm not talking about operations at all. That's why I said I don't think that we should be going to the emergency, meeting. It's more of a visioning idea is what I'm thinking of.
No, I was just saying, I was responding to the latter part of what you said in terms of the rec center, not anything to do with the other part. Like, if we're guiding them, like, what are you seeing when you say, like, when we're working with the rec center?
Well,
what are we
I
doing?
can answer that, because that's one thing that has come up with reference to both racial and economic diversity, is that while we work to, cover, I believe the city works to make it affordable, it's still, a program that is, costs money to do and to attend. And I think that if our goal is to diversify, then we shouldn't have barriers to participation. We should find ways to bring down those barriers, especially because that is one of our stated goals. And there's lots of ways to find grant money to pay for scholarships for after-school programs. And so it's just, that needs to be a discussion that happens, whether it's not as individual, because I think that's the thing, is it comes up as individual board members, and it would be, I think, healthier to have, a sort of meeting of the minds as far as where we would like things to go. I think we're all very grateful that the after-school program was started and is up and running, and there's nothing but appreciation for that. But at the same time, it's in our schools, but it's not for everybody.
Right, but I think when they set up the programming, it really wasn't for anybody from the beginning, because they really didn't look at the demographics of our city, and instead they're providing a program that is giving, like, art and yoga and everything, which is wonderful. But like you're saying, is that now you're finding out that there's people that cannot pay for that extra, versus a after-school program where maybe students are getting some assistance with, like, doing their homework or some extra skills that they could be utilizing the after-school program for that. But I think that's more or less maybe going to a, as a community member, going to like a recreation committee meeting when they're discussing that. I feel like, and if I can, since it's new business, can I do that? I feel like our roles as board members has been like a little muddied lately, as far as getting involved in some community things, although we're community members as well. I think we just have to be careful as to whether or not we're presenting ourselves as a board member or as a community member. you know, I just, you know, there's just been a few things where I feel like we've been a little muddied there. And I agree, like, you know, when I heard the presentation for the after-school program initially, I mean, it does sound all well and wonderful, but you know, you're asking for people to pay like, you know, this amount of money, like to have all these great things, which is great, but not everybody in Beacon can pay for that. And so I think like the true gist of what an after-school program can be for parents who are working was kind of lost. And it's just my interpretation, but you know, that's something I think that's coming if everybody's showing a concern now, but that I think is something you need to go to like the rec department meetings. It's not coming from the Board of Ed to change that.
Well, do you think that the district has any role in terms of communicating with the city about what they're providing and maybe working together to provide something that does eliminate those barriers? Or do you think, you know, just, you know, as a person, as an individual, go and state your case? Because I think that there are, I know for a fact there are, because I presented them to the last superintendent, grants available for after-school programs so that they are free, but it would have to be offered by the district, and that would be that would be a complicated, but I think important change in the way our after-school program is run. It's not, you know, this is certainly better than nothing, but I don't think it's ideal in some ways, and I wonder, I mean, it is serving our students, so I'm just not sure where, do you think that the board or the district should have any sort of voice, or should just?
I mean, I think if it's coming from the district, it should like come from the district, but if we're working with the community, I don't know how we have an oversight to tell like the rec department some of their offerings. I mean, that's just, I don't know where that line is.
I don't know if it would be telling, I think it would be conversation.
Yeah, but that, it's almost like telling.
But I think what the two of you are discussing is kind of the reason why you want the city and the school in the same room discussing it together.
Who at the school? Who's the who?
Well, that's, I think,
I
think the proposal, I think one of the ideas is a committee of the board and a committee of whoever else is on the city side to do that, I guess.
Right, and that's why I agree that there needs to be some collaboration, especially if there's grants that are shared between the city and the school, right? Because you need to work together, and how are those grants gonna be met? But there's who's going to be responsible for writing the grant, who's going to be responsible for overseeing it, who's going to be responsible for implementation. And I think that can happen through our current structure of the PR, of having that come to, like, if there's a grant that, say, someone became aware of and they brought it to the PR and it needs to work with the city, we can invite them to that committee meeting. And have them come and share and say, hey, listen, this is one of the things that we want to bring forth to the board, but we want to have a full understanding as to what the city involvement can be, so we don't misrepresent it, and what the school involvement would be. And then we could that committee could then bring it to the board and say, hey, listen, this is what the city is willing to do, and they could bring it to their council and say, hey, this is.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, is the PR committee willing to take that? That's
I don't really see that we would have a problem with it. I mean, the members of we're on the, right? Do you have a problem with it?
No.
Oh.
It's, I didn't see it as a specific role, but that's how if it goes in that direction, then.
It's not exactly how I understand PR to be, but I'm fine. I just think that it's important that it happens, so I would take it under whatever name.
I think once you start it, it will take a life of itself, and then we'll be able to tell, is it going to be too much of a burden for the PR committee, or is it something that needs to be a separate committee? I think right now it's too early, and we haven't had that. So having a basis of what we have in current structure to see if that's the correct avenue, we could start it that way. And if it gets too big as to what we're, collaborating on, and how many times they have to meet, and if it's something that the PR committee cannot do, we can do a subcommittee of the PR, and so forth, and then look at it that way. But I think for initial process, if there's stuff that they want, we can bring it right there. And if the city has it, we can make sure that they're aware that we have a committee that could work on this.
So would you recommend that if we have agenda items that we're going to give to Kenya to put on the PR committee agenda, that we give them to Kenya and then she reaches out to the city council or to Anthony Ruggiero to see if he should come and listen to what we're talking about? Is that the process?
Or I think keeping the chair involved, it may be that she may say, hey, if you have that relationship, if you've started that conversation, follow up on it. I think it's whatever the chairperson feels comfortable with to do it. I mean, like, I think if you already started that conversation and there was some, informal conversation of, hey, this is what we're thinking, or this is what we're looking for, why not follow up on it?
Sure.
And have it, and then say, hey, Kenny, can we add this to the agenda? Similar to like what Meredith texted me and said, hey, can we have a discussion on vote? So.
But didn't Georgia say that it was a little muddy? Why would you want us to follow up on it?
No, but again.
I'm saying if it's a chair and it's a conversation for the committee, for instance, you solicit topics for your diversity committee from community members, right?
So you want the chair to follow up, you mean?
It could be, I said whatever the chair is comfortable with that. It's not the board, it's a committee of the board that they're going to be going to the board. She feels comfortable with having a member of the committee do it.
Okay.
I haven't had any conversation, honestly. I've just been reading about some, when I looked at the, say, Pathways to School, I've been looking about things that are on the city website, and then my husband happened to attend a shared services grants presentation, and there's lots of opportunities for reducing costs, and it's kind of being encouraged by the state. So I was looking through, they had a whole list of like what cities won specific grants, and it was interesting to see the partnerships between city municipalities and their school districts, and so that's what sort of sparked this conversation. So I can share all of that.
I don't think it has to be limited to the city. I mean, the county offers many programs that are accessible to school districts. I know in Ulster County, the county is more of a resource than the initial community because of the resources that the county has to offer to school districts. So it's not limited to just the city. It could be limited to the county as well.
Okay, great.
Is that okay, Meredith, or?
That's great.
That's separate though than the tax cap discussion, which I think does really need to happen because that is completely confusing. I will say that there are two completely different understandings about how it works.
In terms of
that
what the city understands and what.
But the city, like Lee Kiriakou explained something totally different to me, and so it would be helpful to have.
So with that conversation happening with Anne Marie and Lee?
Well, that's why we're talking about having
That's
this
why we're having
meeting.
the joint.
They're supposed
That's
to
why
have
we're
it on the
looking to have the
23rd.
joint and have someone from the outside come in and speak, so it's not the city perspective or the district perspective, it's an outside perspective.
Yeah, it would be really helpful.
Is that it, or?
Thank you.
So the consent agenda, the use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate. That item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issues. So, is there anything on the agenda that anyone wants removed?
1104B.
1104B. Okay.
And I'd like to have 1104C1.
1104C1, Anthony.
1104P.
1104P as in Paul. Meredith. Mike? No?
Oh, nothing this time.
Somebody please take my temperature.
So I need a motion to approve the agenda minus 1104B, 1104C1, and 1104P.
Motion.
Second. Anthony and Bill. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
None. Oh, very good. So, opposed? Okay, good. Okay, so a motion for 1104B.
I'll make the motion.
Comments and questions? I need a second. Second, right, need a second?
Second.
Thank you.
So now my question here, I recall there was a time when we, board members got to look at the files for people who were being granted tenure. I don't know the protocols and procedures, but I wanted to be sure that we were doing things according to the proper protocol here.
The staff person was reviewed in June and was on an unpaid leave of absence at the time that we conferred tenure on the other candidates. Her file was reviewed then.
Okay.
Any other questions? So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0, motion carried. All right. I lost my notes here. 1104C, right? There we go. Motion for 1104C1.
So moved.
Second, that's Georgia. We have a second. Bill, thank you. Comments and questions? No. What do you want? Say thank you. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried 9.
I abstain.
Oh, abstain. Okay, so motion carried 8, right?
And one exception.
Just trying to give you lessons today. Motion for 1104P. That was Meredith. Second?
Second.
Georgia. Comments and questions?
Just welcome, Lisa. I'm abstaining.
And I apologize, I wasn't here to meet you
Oh, wait,
earlier.
we didn't vote.
This is my discussion topic.
That's it? I don't even know what I'm
All
doing.
those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none?
I'm abstaining.
So Meredith abstained.
So 8, 4.
Oh, she's paying, oh, here we go. What is this, like the trial and error line? Like these new things.
You're doing great.
Okay, so motion carry 8 with 1 abstain, right? So now you guys can welcome, right? So we look forward to all the good work that you're gonna be participating in with the good work that already exists in the district. Motion to approve addendum item 12.01.
So moved.
Georgia, second.
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 9-0. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion to adjourn the meeting. Georgia, second. Mike, all those in favor?
Aye.
No comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried 9-0. The time is 9:36.
See what Ken can do?
I was wrong.